Hey guys, John Velasco here with VR Source. So E3 2016 is finally behind us. It's over. For myself, it was my very first E3 and I was really excited about it because it was different from the usual tech trade shows that I normally go to. And what I was most surprised about was just the level of enthusiasm and excitement that I saw at the press conferences like Microsoft and even Sony. And of course, we started a brand new website, VR Source, and at the show, there were quite a few VR games and also products that were announced and introduced. But in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the best VR games that we checked out for E3 2016. The first game I'm going to talk about here is Here They Lie. It's coming out for the PlayStation VR. It's a horror game, but it's not like the traditional zombie survival horror game that you're used to playing, because there's more of a psychological aspect to it. Now, it kind of reminds me of a Stephen King novel. It's a first-person perspective, so you see the world through your player. You can look around, of course, move forward, backwards, and you can use a DualShock 4 controller to point your flashlight towards specific areas. They did a great job of the graphics. There's a lot of shadows in this. Very dark, so it really gives you that feeling of confinement. And the crazy part is, of course, all the psychological stuff with the game. For example, you're trying to reach a door at the end of the corridor, but every time you get closer, it seems like the room is being stretched farther and farther away, so you're never able to reach that door. Or another time, how this guy just comes out of nowhere in a bunny mask or something and slowly creeps on you. So it'll have you on this tip of your seat pretty much the entire time. We didn't have any exclusive titles for the Oculus Rift, but one game we played on there that was pretty fun was Eagle Flight. So basically, you take the role of this eagle in the city of Paris, and you're basically flying through the city looking for food and bringing it back to your nest. In our demo, it was a multiplayer game where I was competing against other players, and it's pretty fun because of the way the gameplay and the mechanics are done. So you use the headset to move the eagle to a specific direction. You're going to be doing a lot of head movements. And you need it because you're going to be dodging attacks, trying to retrieve food, and you're going to go in and out of the city, flying low, flying high. And it's just like an aerial dogfight, but instead of planes, you're an eagle. And it's actually pretty fun. Farpoint for the PlayStation VR is a first-person shooter set on another world, and it has a sci-fi kick to it. It might not sound all that unique at first glance, but it's unique for the fact that it incorporates the new PlayStation VR aim, which is the light gun accessory that makes you feel like you're actually holding a weapon in the hand. And it's really nice because when you're in the game, you're looking at your weapon, you can actually move it, see it, how it works, and of course you use it to target the enemies, so you have finer control in that regard. But it's really nice how the VR side, it also reacts to shadows, the way you're moving, you're holding it, and it's just going to give you that first-person shooter experience that we really haven't seen before. While it's not exclusive to the Oculus Rift, Star Trek Bridge Crew was pretty convincing because for the first time, you felt like you were part of a Starship Bridge Crew. So we're checking it out with the Oculus Rift. It's coming out to the other platforms, the Vive and PlayStation VR. But you basically take a role of one of the officers on board the USS Aegis. And the good thing is that they utilize the new Oculus Touch controller, so you have finer movement with your fingers. And basically you're sitting at your terminal in the game, you have your instrument panel in front of you, and my role was the tactical officer. So basically I was in charge of raising the shields, firing the photon torpedoes, and also the phasers. And it's a collaborative effort with the other players in the game. And for the first time, it just made you feel like you were part of the Star Trek universe. Well, it wasn't technically first announced at E3 2016. Front Defense for the HTC Vive was pretty impressive. It was my first time checking it out. I know some of my colleagues checked it out back at Computex. But this is a first-person shooter set in World War II. You're in a trench, a bunker of some sort with sandbags, and you're just trying to fend off the waves of enemies that are coming at you. Now, it goes to show the power of the HTC Vive over other VR platforms because unlike traditional first-person shooters where you press a button to reload or change your weapon, you actually have to do that whole entire process yourself. So if you run out of ammo, you got to take out the clip, put in a brand new one, and then position yourself into, you know, a covering mode or something. And it really shows the immersive quality that you're not going to get with other platforms. And finally, there's Resident Evil 7. This is probably the showcase device for the PlayStation VR. Now, during Sony's press conference, they teased the game. At first, we really didn't know what it was because there was just this first-person view. You're looking around this house, this attic of some sort, looking at different stuff, and it was kind of slow-paced until all of a sudden there was this figure that quickly was briefly on screen at the corner, and that's when you just felt this chill down your spine. And seeing that it's coming out for the PlayStation VR, you're actually put into the role, into the shoes of the character. So no longer is it a third-person perspective like most of the other recent Resident Evil games. It's a first-person perspective. So you're transported into this world. You're trying to survive against, you know, these zombies. And, you know, if you're playing this game by yourself, you have that full VR experience. You're going to be kind of apprehensive playing the game because you never know what's going to be around the corner. And that's exactly what VR is going to do. It's going to change the way we actually experience these games. So that is pretty much it for some of the best games, VR games that we checked out at E3 2016. There's a lot of excitement and buzz over VR in general. And also the products, the hardware that are coming down the pipelines. It should be a great second half for VR as a whole. So if you guys want to learn more about any of the stuff I talked about in this video, please check out our website, VR Source, your source for all kinds of reality.